Ain't no way to freehand draw this thing. Um, I had drawn it once already. It takes too long to make sure it's perfect, or at least at first view it's perfect. But this is going to be the same every time. All these angles are going to be the same. I was actually checking out roof cutting and stacking, and he was talking about it. He's just he basically said what the angles were. I don't memorize angles. 45 degree, use a 45 degrees on the plumb cut, but that gets you, shoot, that gets you almost, that gets you halfway. And you want a square cut, start square cutting these. But we can calculate those right there just for the fun of it. I kind of do a little bit of a leapfrog method, going from what we already know is easily gotten in math. So let's go here. Let's go to the center point, and we can get half the diagonal width of a 2x4. We're just going to use 2x4s. 1.5. We all know what that is. You can make it whatever you want and then tailor it, but it's easy to explain. And we know that is going to be about 1 inch and a 16th. So that gives us to here. And now we know that half of a framing member, a 2x is going to be 3/4, right? So we can calculate what this is. You got 45 degrees here, and there's a little rise. We can get that diagonal, and sometimes these things you don't quite catch it, but when at the bottom of this diagonal right here, you got the bull nose of this really sharp hip right here. So we know, I'm gonna mess up my drawing. This sucks to do, but I'm making a video here. So every time I do these marks, we all know what that means. That's the one distance, and we know we can go from the center point here at the framing point of this roof, and we can draw a straight line right there. So we can calculate that, and I drew this down here. There's no way I can recreate this on the fly like I do my other stuff. I love drawing on the fly because that just shows you that, not to boost me up, but when you see me drawing on the fly, you know that I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. So it's just a confidence thing for you to know that you can trust me. Let's erase this for a second. So if I got this point, okay, where am I at? I got this point, and we can get the distance here to here. I call that the setback, but the roof stacking and cutting guy, he's probably got 10 years on me. He calls that something different. He calls a setback is this right here. It's where you would actually cut with the saw. But unless you got a swing table, which I've never seen a swing table ever. I think they got them out in California, but I'm gonna cut on the top of this. I'm cutting. That's what I'm gonna set the saw on top of that and cut it. This is kind of an improvisation. I mean, you could almost get a sawzall and cut this thing, but yeah. At this point, I'm just building the thing. I'm not worried about all this. But here now, it's theoretical, so we know we're just trying to make sure we understand the math. So we got we got down to this point. Now you say, what is, you know, we see we got a bevel here. Well, how are we gonna get this distance? So if I want to pull a measurement square off my board, and I want to come down here, square out to the side, and if I was gonna bevel it, you know, really, if I'm running a saw down the center, or if I'm gonna go, you know, make it like I'm cutting a jack, and I start, you know, I bevel one end and cheat cut, and then I bevel the other side. But let's do theory first before we get into that. You know, how do we get this angle first? Well, I got it written down here. This is the relationship here is going to be, we know this point, we can get this point, right? Because we're just going to center the rafter, subtract thickness there, and then I feel like I got to make a whole nother video about how this angle is determined. We can determine this point. I'll just dot it out, right? But we want to make sure that we get from here, and then from here we're gonna go, that would be like our rise right there, our shorter distance, and then this is, you know, our run. So that would be our rise run relationship, you know, and that is going to determine our angle right there. In this angle, if you're running your saw, let me try, here's your saw, and then the blade's coming that way, right? And you run that down on the top of your board, and that gives you the angle. You're gonna have to make a cheat cut out of it. I've never even, you know, as I told, did I say in another video that I've never done these? I think I did. I've never built this. I've done it with trusses, and it's just, it's not fun. I don't like using trusses. I'm a framer, and I want to do the calculations for everything, but we can't always get what we want. And, you know, there's just hundreds, maybe thousands of guys across the fruited plain that build these, you know, probably close to every day. Somebody's built one of these things, and we all know the angles and whatever, but that's not my job, is to, you know, to tell you the degrees to put the saw on. My job is to make sure that we know how to get that whenever there's no trig tables from a Construction Master calculator. Do you know how to get this and do it if you got to use a sliding T-bevel? I'm going to do a video one day of how to get if you get this rise and run, how to set the T-bevel to get that angle mechanically, and then you can transfer that to the saw. That's a big deal, but it's some muscle memory involved in doing that. And once you get that done, you know how to lock that T-bevel in and put it on the saw. You know, you don't need trig, and it's pretty quick. But you're gonna have to keep a T-bevel in your tool bags, and there's another piece of thing to weigh you down in the summer heat. So maybe you just use your Construction Master calculator. Let's see what y'all do with that one.